think that Indians are more aware of China and the potential threat of China to India, or are the Chinese thinking a lot about India these days?
No, I think there's much more China awareness generally in India. Partly it goes down to the border war that we had in 1962 where India lost. And as the defeated party, the humiliation kind of stings, and so it's just, always loomed larger as a kind of threat. Whereas, China won the war, and most ordinary Chinese people don't even know that a war had ever been fought, and so on. So, for the last 30, 40 years like that. And then in the last 5 or 6 years, with China's great miraculous rise, it's difficult for anyone not to be aware of China. And as I said, in India, Manmohan Singh wants to convert Mumbai into Shanghai. It's really emerged as the benchmark. Slowly, maybe over the last 3 or 4 years, there is a, gradual growing curiosity in China about India. But I think it's kind of limited more to the strategic community and to kind of government think tanks and all, rather than a kind of widespread public or popular curiosity.
And these days in Beijing, when you first arrived, there were barely any Indians in Beijing. Now it's much different?
Yeah, I remember the first few days I used to wander around Beijing. If I saw anyone vaguely South Asian looking, I'd kind of smile at them just out of the shock of, recognition. And that's very much changed. You see them everywhere. And, last year we had more than 600,000 Indians traveling to China. The majority of these are traders who basically go to things like the Canton Fair and the huge wholesale markets in southern China to source products. But there's then a knock-on effect because they stay to do some tourism and so on. And so the numbers of Indians that are, on Chinese streets, as it were, has spiked definitely, and concomitantly there's an increase in the number of Indian restaurants. There's an increase there's a diversification of the kind of Indian in China, because you don't just have traders, and you don't just have people who work for MNCs, but people like Mohan, the entrepreneurial yoga teacher I was talking about. Kind of people who don't come from they're not very well educated, and these were the kinds of people who used to want to go to America to kind of realize the American dream. You've got many of them now coming to China to sort of work as cooks in restaurants, as doormen at hotel, and kind of attaching their star to a rising China, as it were, in the hope of maybe making a better life for them in China.